Thank you for joining Finesse Kitchen. Today we're going to make Santa Suit Macarons filled with a white chocolate eggnog ganache. Let's get baking. First, we are going to start with 16 ounces of white chocolate, 8 ounces of eggnog, and 1 tablespoon of nutmeg. Next, we are going to bring a pan of water to a boil. Once it is at a complete rolling boil, turn off the burner and set the bowl of chocolate on top to melt. Next, we are going to whisk our white chocolate as it is melting. We don't need to melt the entire mixture because we are going to warm the eggnog, which will melt the rest of the chocolate, but this will make the process go a lot faster and the ganache come together a lot quicker. Next, we are going to place our eggnog into a pan and add our nutmeg and put this over a medium heat. We are bringing this to a boil so that it's nice and warm so it can melt the rest of the chocolate and combine. Now our mixture of eggnog and nutmeg is at a complete boil. Once we are at this point, we can now turn off the heat of your burner. Now we are going to slowly pour all of our eggnog and nutmeg into our white chocolate mixture, making sure to scrape everything out. And now we're going to gently whisk together until it becomes nice and thick. Just be careful to start whisking slowly because the eggnog will be very warm and you don't want that to splash up and burn you. Once it starts to thicken, then you can whisk a little bit faster. Next, we're going to pour our ganache into a Tupperware so that way we can put it in the fridge so it will thicken and we can pipe it. We like to put it in a Tupperware so that way if it gets too cold, we can easily throw that in the microwave. So now that our ganache is completely cool, you can still see that it is really runny. So if you were to pipe this into your macaron, it would just ooze all the way down the shell. So what we're going to do is place this into a mixing bowl with the paddle attachment. We're going to whip this and incorporate air so that way it will thicken. It will become really light and fluffy and almost like a frosting. We can now turn our mixer onto a medium speed to whip the ganache. You don't want to put the mixer too high because the ganache could separate. Now you can see that the eggnog ganache is light and fluffy, the color got lighter, and if you lift the paddle up, you can see that the ganache stays and doesn't just run down the side. Now we are going to pipe our eggnog filling. You can use any sort of decorative tip that you would like. So you just want to fill the pastry bag with the ganache, being careful not to put too much in at once so that your hands don't melt it. Be careful not to overfill your macaron no matter what size you're filling, because the rookie mistake is when people say, oh my gosh, I love ganache, and they pipe it really, really tall. They set the lid on, looks nice for about 10 seconds until it all just runs down the sides. Trust me, you're getting plenty of ganache here. Next, we want to gently pick up the macarons and place the lid on top, just gently squishing until the ganache reaches the edge. I like to pick them up to do this because the shells are so fragile that if you place the lid on while the macaron is sitting on the tray, if you push too hard, you can crack the bottom. So just be very gentle. You want to add enough filling so that it has some nice height but does not run down the edges. If you were filling a gigantic 8-inch circle macaron, you would do the exact same thing and just pipe close to the edge but leave a little bit of a gap so that when you put the lid on, it will just come right to the edge. For our royal icing, you will need powdered sugar, warm water, and meringue powder. We are going to place the meringue powder into the mixing bowl with our powdered sugar and place that into the mixer with the paddle attachment. You want to make sure that you start this on low just so it doesn't come flying up at you. And gently start to pour the warm water down the side of the bowl until it starts to come together. Don't use the entire amount of water, but save a little bit so that you can adjust in case it's too thick or too thin. Next, we are going to mix here for about 3 minutes until the mixture thickens. We are now going to take 2 small little drops of icing in one bowl and 2 in another, so we can use that to use some other colors for our decorations. You want to place a dampened paper towel over one of the bowls just so the royal icing doesn't crust over until we're ready to use it, and add a few drops of brown food color, as well as a few drops of yellow food color. And we're going to mix this together to make the gold for Santa's belt buckle. Now you can see that our royal icing is the perfect peak, so you can see that it holds, but it also has that little bird's beak that drops, so that way we'll have some flow when you're piping. Now we are going to take the remaining royal icing that's in our mixer and add black food color. This will be for Santa's belt. Just start with a little bit of color just so you can see how it lightens and looks, and you can always add more. Next, we are going to take our macarons that we have already filled and line them up on a sheet pan. Now we can take a pastry bag fitted with a circle tip and place the black royal icing inside so we can pipe our belts. Now we are just going to pipe a little strip of black along the bottom of the Santa suit, and this will be Santa's belt. Next, we are going to take a pastry bag with the white royal icing and a plain tip. We're going to pipe 2 circles for Santa's buttons right above the belt. Lastly, we are going to take a pastry bag fitted with a little bit smaller of a circle tip and fill this with the gold royal icing to pipe Santa's buckle onto his black belt. Now your Santa suits are ready to enjoy. Thank you for joining Finesse Kitchen and learning how to make a Santa Suit Macaron filled with an eggnog ganache. Happy baking!